We play and call it work.
Hey everybody, Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com, and welcome to this week's live sit and talk. I'm starting a few minutes early. I was just sitting here. I was getting bored. Everything's set up and working, so I thought, why not start a few minutes early? Early's fine, right? As long as it's not late. So this is, if this is your first time viewing, whether on Twitch or on YouTube, this is a show where we rotate between different content producers, and we just answer your questions about whatever you want to talk about. Usually wargaming related. I often get business-related questions as well, but really you can ask us anything you want, and then we just decide whether we want to answer the question or not. Now, we have two parts to it that are kind of intermingled together, and I apologize, I have a bit of a tickle in my throat. I'm getting over a cough. But essentially, we answer questions that Vault members have posted on the previous episode on our website, and then I also answer questions from the chat. Now, don't ask the questions yet in the chat, because we have a special command that's not yet open to ask questions. And then next week, I always forget who's next. I think it's Josh, right? Josh is next week's. I can just open it up. Yeah, Josh is next week. So if you want to leave questions for Josh, so for the people who can't make it to the live show but want their questions answered, if you're a Vault member, you can do that. When this show is posted, go to our website, not YouTube, and post your question there. The reason we do it there is so we can verify you're a Vault member, and also just because it's easier to collect them all together. And those ones will get answered as well as live questions, assuming there aren't way too many. If there's more than we can answer in the hour that we have, then, well, we answer as many as we can. And, yeah, welcome to everybody. Surge MMO, and Dastin Des, and Skull, ZDM, Balfour, and Jaden Cordebor, and Comet, and Andrew Octobeard. Did I miss anybody in the chat so far? I'm not going to say hi to everybody. I'm sorry. We just don't have time for that. And also, it wouldn't be that interesting to show. So I'm going to open up the queue right now. So basically what you can do is you can put !ask, space, and then put your question. Now, Nightbot is limited. We're using Nightbot for this, or Streamlabs chatbot, or whatever it's called. So if you make your question too long, it gets cut off. So just try to keep them short-ish. Or, yeah, and you can only ask one at a time. So once it's in the queue, then yeah, it'll exit from the queue once I have cleared it. And then you can ask another question. So you go ahead and start asking questions whenever you like, and I will get to those. But I will start by going over to some questions from our Vault members, just while I wait for some questions to come in from the chat. So first off, we have GBC343. Hi, Matt. I hope you are well. Question. With Warhammer's three main games, Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, and Horus Heresy, all now having truly unique rule sets, do you see any pros and cons of the three games being unique from each other? Definitely. The pros, of course, is that because the rule sets are different from each other, that means that they can be modified to suit the playstyle you're looking for. There is no one rule set that is the best rule set for wargaming or role-playing or board games or anything else like that. Just like there's no one genre that's the best for every movie and every video game. You might like one the best, or the most, but there's definitely more than one thing. So having them different allows you to do that. For example, Age of Sigmar versus Warhammer 40k, one of the big differences is the lack of strength versus toughness in Age of Sigmar. Everybody just has a to wound. That allows for the game to play differently in a fantasy setting, where wounds spill over, and no matter what you are, you do the same amount of damage to something else, and so you're measuring the strength of something in more of its number of wounds and its save. Whereas in 40k, they have the strength versus toughness, which makes certain weapons just unusable against other enemies. Not totally unusable. There's always wounding on a 6, of course. But like, for example, a large unit in Age of Sigmar is an effective unit. In 40k, it's not always, because if it's a large unit, it might have low-strength weapons. The toughness is nice and low. It's easier to kill. But then the other mechanic of wound spilling over allows for 40k to focus on weapons being more unique to what they're supposed to do, like a last cannon is not going to be great against individual one-wound models. It's going to kill one at a time, whereas it's really good against a large creature. In Age of Sigmar, there's no distinction there. Now, you might look at that and be like, well, that's a con. They shouldn't be doing that. I'm not really saying which one is better, although I have my opinions there. I'm more saying that it allows you to kind of have a different structure and feel for the game. that if one you're looking for more gritty realism versus another one that you're just looking for it to be a free-flowing game, then it allows you to do that. Horus Heresy being on the old 7th edition. Now in this case, it's a more specific case. I don't think that's an advantage. I think that's a disadvantage. It needs to be updated to 8th edition. Of course, there's going to be people who disagree, who like older editions better, but if everybody operated that way, Wizards of the Coast would have to maintain 5 different rule sets, and that means that none of them would get as many updates as anybody wants. So I don't think there's an advantage there. There's definitely cons to having the rules being different. Obviously, there's more overhead for updating things. For players, that means they have to learn a different gaming system to buy miniatures from the company. So if I play Age of Sigmar a lot and I want to play 40K, there's that barrier that I have to learn the game. I don't think that's a huge con, though. So, yeah. I personally think in this case, this specific case, Warhammer 40K, Age of Sigmar, and Horus Heresy could all have the same rule set. I don't see a reason in this case to keep them separate because they are all similar types of games. They're all similar scale in how many miniatures are put on the table, how much terrain is used, the size of the table. All of that seems to be the same in all 3 of these games within reason. And then none of them use grids. They all use the same type of dice and measuring tapes. Obviously, Horus Heresy still uses templates, but arguably that doesn't need to be the case anymore either. And so I don't, in this specific case, I don't see a reason to have the rule sets different. I think Age of Sigmar would benefit from strength versus toughness. It would solve a lot of the problems with hordes. But yeah, that's just kind of how I see. Now, whether the wound spilling over thing, yeah, it's just, I could talk about that forever. The fact of the matter is there are definitely pros and cons. The pros being you can have the diversity in the games. The cons being there are diversity in the games, and so it's harder to learn the different ones. Also, I've been seeing statistics that Games Workshop has claimed the top 2 spots in the miniature gaming market with 40K and Age of Sigmar. You're probably talking about that same report that I see once a year from that same company who polls different distributors and stuff. You can't really rely on that being correct, but who cares whether it's correct or not? You're asking that because they're first and second, do you see any pros and cons to this market dominance if it is prolonged? Well, of course. The pros being that they make more money. But if you're talking about, is it pros and cons to the market or pros and cons to Games Workshop? Because if it's Games Workshop, pros are they make more money. And there are no cons to being the top selling. There shouldn't be cons. Let me just put it that way. You should be trying hard to build a good product, whether you're number 1 or number 5 or number 10. For the market, there's always cons to one company having a monopoly on things, and that is that you get less diversity in products. But miniature wargaming doesn't seem to suffer from that too bad. That there's a ton of small companies making miniature games, so you can find those games that really suit your needs. But that's always going to be the case. It's already a small market, and so if you split that market up into too many smaller markets, like if there was no big Games Workshop company, you'd probably see the whole market suffer as a result. Because it means, what's the number 1 factor in playing a game is going to be, are there other people around you playing that game? And so you might be, if I said, well, let's take this pie and evenly distribute it between 1,000 different companies, that way you have 1,000 different choices, the likelihood of it is that your friends aren't going to be into the same exact game that you'd want to be into. So you'd have to compromise and play something different, or they'd have to compromise and play something different. It's just not good. So the miniature wargaming is a small market, so it's nice to have a company that kind of dominates it, because that can bring in new people a lot easier, because they can always find players, and then they can discover all the smaller games. So they've created the market in essence. They have absolutely created the market, much like Wizards of the Coast created the role-playing market. Didn't invent it necessarily, but they created it, and that allows other companies to actually come in and be able to make money there, because they have Games Workshop has a dominance which allows the market to grow. I don't think it would grow if it was just split up between a lot of smaller, medium-sized companies. Whew, that was a long answer. All right. Balfour from the chat asking, with all the giveaways next Wednesday, will they include any form of Vault memberships? We were thinking of giving away a couple lifetime Vault memberships. We haven't 100% decided on everything. That brings me to the next thing. I should have announced this at the beginning. Next week, we are going to be having one long 24-hour live stream instead of our normal schedule of live streams for that week. It's going to start Wednesday, March 20th at 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and go for 24 hours. And so the current idea of the schedule is that the first 5 hours from 12 to 5, Dave will be manning it as the Shrine of Chaos. He'll be doing tons of giveaways and chatting with you guys. And then from 5 to like 1 in the morning, we're going to be playing a couple sessions of Wrath and Glory. We'll still do some giveaways and chat with you at our breaks in between sessions. And then the overnight shift, like the 1 to 9 shift, is Luca and Kenny and Colin are just going to be playing some games, doing some giveaways, chatting. And from 9 to 12, Dave will then do another Shrine of Chaos with more giveaways and more chatting. And during those 24 hours, we're going to be selling lifetime vault memberships just for that 24 hours. So you have to, if you want one, you got to buy it within that 24-hour period. Are we going to give any away? Maybe 1 or 2, not sure. Conrad Cruz. What will a lifetime membership cost next week in the 24-hour stream? You know what? You can actually answer all the questions about that if you go to miniwargaming.com/lifetime. So go to miniwargaming.com/lifetime, and it gives some details of what's going to be happening in the stream, how much the lifetime membership is going to cost, as well as any other information. If you have other questions that are not answered on that page, I'd love to hear them. That way I can update the page with other frequently asked questions. Jaden Cordebor. Hey Matt, I was wondering if you were open to doing your Forgeworld Super Heavy style bat reps with guests. I was wanting to schedule a time, ... So that's where it got. Let's see if I can find it. To come down and bring my airborne Imperial Guard army with Marauder Destroyer. Yeah, the intention with that was just their beat map bat reps, kind of. So we called them a different thing, and they're with guests. So yeah, I definitely would do that with guests. There would be no reason that I would not to do that at all. Comment 225, can you convert Primaris Marines to Chaos? You're talking lore-wise? The answer to that, I would assume, would be yes. They're not Grey Knights. I think so far Grey Knights have never fallen to Chaos, but there's been no chapter that has not had others. I think Primaris, yeah, they're probably more loyal, I would guess. Otherwise, what's the point? Yeah, sure, they're stronger and they got better weapons, but let's face it, it was just an excuse to bring out a new line of Space Marines. So I can't see why. I feel like they are phasing out the old tacticals and scouts, no matter what they say. They're with their new model lines. They may always keep making rules for the old tacticals and scouts, but the rules suck compared to the Primaris. So it's obvious the intent is that this is supposed to be just an update to the line, but rather than just call them tacticals and scouts, they wanted to sell more of them, and so they called them Primaris, and they come up with a lore reason why they're new, and then they were able to totally. It basically makes all the Space Marine players have to buy new miniatures rather than be like, well, I've already got tacticals. Because they've done it before where, they've updated the look of a Terminator, but they didn't call it something new, so people who had the old ones could still just play with that. And so I would say that essentially just think of them like regular tacticals and scouts. They're just bigger versions of Space Marines. And so I would say for sure they could fall to Chaos, but I can't say that for sure. I would say for sure, but I can't for sure say that. Surge MMO, who has won the most games? You or Dave? Who is the best Surgeon Pug? Surgeon Pug? Not sure what that means. I have no idea who's won more games. If you're talking about between me and Dave, I think I've beaten him more often than he's beaten me. But outside of that, I really have no idea. At Zetatze 8. Will there be another Pathfinder campaign? It was awesome. Pathfinder campaign. We have never done a Pathfinder campaign. We've done a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, if that's what you're referring to. And we hope to do more. We don't currently have a plan to do more, but we do hope to do more. And your Octobeard, any opinion on Warcry from what we have been shown so far? For those of you who don't know, Warcry is the latest product that was released, or that was revealed at Gamma. I think it was Gamma. And it looks basically like a new skirmish game for Age of Sigmar. It looks cool, but there's not really much information about it, so it's hard to give an opinion. I hope it replaces their current, what do they have right now? Age of Sigmar Skirmish, which is pretty lackluster. I've tried to play it, and it just doesn't seem that interesting. So hopefully this replaces that and does a better job with it. Or it's like their version of Kill Team would also be cool. It could just be Age of Sigmar Kill Team, and I'd be happy with that. Panzer Bunny, do you guys use any non-Games Workshop minis in your personal or company armies? Yes. Yes. Our Imperial Guard army has some non-Games Workshop minis. Mainly it was for narrative campaigns where I wanted to represent the locals, and that, the locals don't look like Cadians or Catachans, right? Other than that, do we have off-brand stuff? I know guests who have come in have had non-Games Workshop minis, but we don't have very many. in our armies. I know we have like a bunch of zombies that are mantic because we needed like a couple hundred zombies, and it was just cheap to buy a crap ton from them. I think that's mainly it. Maybe a miniature here or there, but mainly they're all Games Workshop. Corn Puffs, are you going to hire new people to clean beds and bathrooms in the bunker, or will you make Steve do it? As much as we would love Steve to have to clean bathrooms, because I'm sure he wouldn't puke while doing that, yeah, we're definitely going to be having professionals taking care of the janitorial work at the bunker, and not any of our content producers. Catfish, who at MiniWarGaming is into hockey? Both playing and watching. Sorry for the stereotyping, but I love the game. I don't think anybody here is really into hockey. At least if they are, I don't hear them talk about it. My brothers, at least two of them, are really into hockey. It's definitely a Canadian thing. It's just we're a bunch of nerds around here, so we're into D&D and stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with being into sports if you're into wargaming. It just seems that we have the typical vibe around here that we all talk about D&D and Warhammer and not sports so much. Skulls at DM, can you post your Matt Plays Forgeworld videos as regular videos? Seems a waste not to post videos you have recorded. Looking at Tau, you said was recorded. You mean the ones that are in the vault? Because we have videos that we put out for free, and we have ones that go in the vault. And so if the ones that you're talking about are in the vault, then no, those stay in the vault. People pay to get exclusive shows. You know, one day we maybe will post like some old videos from the vault on the channel, but I wouldn't make that a regular thing. It kind of defeats the purpose of paying for exclusive content if we're just going to take that exclusive content and also post it on YouTube. Yeah. Balfour, you've had a chance to play many games with the Gloomspite Gitz by now. Informed verdict or opinion of them now? Well, we posted a review. There's a full video of me and Constantine reviewing the Gloomspite Gitz, so you can go check that out on our YouTube channel. But I'll give you the boiled down version of it right now. I love them. They're a lot of fun. I've played games with pretty much every part a few times now. The strongest seems to be just a plain Moon Clan, focusing on the Grots, like big blobs of Grots, and all the support that they have now. It really got expanded. That seems really good. Squigs still seem disappointing, but I haven't really played with the Boing Grot bouncers yet, and they seem like they could be really good if played properly. And I also haven't played with a lot of Mangler Squigs yet, so I've only been playing with Squigs and like Squig Hoppers and my Colossal Squig, and those ones are all garbage compared to other stuff. But I think there's a viable Squig army in there somewhere if I use the Boing Grot bouncers and the Loon Boss on Mangler Squig, backed up by another Mangler Squig, and some other stuff as well. So I want to try that out still. The Trolls are really cool. I don't know if they're going to be competitive. I've been doing well with them in my games, but I've only played them in 2 or 3 games. I did an all Trogoth army just the other day. I just did a pairing of battle reports the other day against Skaven Clan Scryer. And that was fun. You'll see those probably next week, I'm guessing. And that was me playing with an all troll army for one of them, and the other one was more Grots and Trolls. The Spider Fang part seems really cool. So yeah. I think they're really fun. They're versatile. Are they competitive? I think they probably have an area in the competitive. There's so much to them. I'm sure there's something in there that's competitive, but I can't really give a verdict on that. I think they're a lot of fun to play. They look really cool. They're a neat theme. They're kind of goofy, and I really enjoy them. I'm going to grab a question from Vault members. Cypher was framed. Was he? Hi, Matt. Quick question from a new Wargaming dad. Do you view it as rude if someone brought a baby to a game with a warning beforehand? As long as the baby's not loud and crying the whole time, I think that's fine. Coupled with that, what do you think the best baby carrying device would be for 40K? Obviously, the servo arm technology isn't quite where it needs to be yet, and I'm worried about a mini Titan going and knocking things over. I would suggest a baby carrier, probably one on the back, so your hands are free to roll dice and stuff. So those are pretty easy to find at your local store. So that's what I would get. As long as your baby is quiet, I don't see there's a problem at all. Yeah, seems kind of fun, actually. The Real Yan Cruel. Hi, Matt. I was wondering if the Shrine of Chaos is uploaded to the site after its broadcast. I haven't seen it up for a while, and I love listening to it. Keep up the great work. It's supposed to be. Any shows that are on Twitch that we don't post on YouTube are available by the Twitch Video on Demand, as well as the MiniWarGaming Silver Vault. So if you have a show and somehow it got missed, I know Colin's been sick this week, so that's probably why you haven't seen that one yet. So just email our support. Excuse me, and we'll make sure it's taken care of. Razakel, I'm at what's the largest amount of points you think you could put in an urban conquest game and have it finish in a reasonable time? Your recent games are really cool, but it looks like it takes forever to play. Yeah, we were playing at 1,000 points, and it took a while. Now, mind you, I'm a slower player, and I think Constantine kind of is too. We both think a lot about what we're doing. We also had missions that really slowed down shooting, but overall, I think Urban Conquest will take more time because there's more terrain, there's more line of sight blocking, there's more negative modifiers to your shooting, and positive modifiers to your cover. I think you could 1,000 points to 1,500 points is fine, and you could play higher than that too. But it depends what you call a reasonable time. If you're talking 2 to 3 hours, 1,500 points is fine. Remember, it takes longer for us to play because we're filming at the same time. It takes considerably longer because of that. DJ Smoky Bacon. Hi Matt, just wanted to thank you, Dave, and all for producing all the excellent gaming content. I have very little time to watch much, if any of it. I get that. But I've recently become a Vault member off the back of these sit and talks, which are engaging and open, just to sort your great work. Well, thank you. Now to the questions. Knowing your viewers as well as you do, 1, what proportion of your viewers are stateside from the UK, Australia, New Zealand, etc.? Ooh, I know that answer, but I don't have it in front of me. The largest is states. Like, okay, I'll rank them in order of just places. I can't tell you the exact percentages. It goes United States, United Kingdom, and then Canada. And then we start to hit like Australia, Germany, France, and then it really starts to it drops off dramatically after that. So it's, the biggest is definitely US, then UK, then it drops down to Canada and Australia, and then it's like the next closest like Germany and France, I think. And then there's a ton of other countries that are all, that get very little, but those countries also have a lot less people, so it makes sense. It kind of just, it goes almost based on the size of the populations of the countries that are English speaking, if you think about it that way, or that will have English speakers in them. 2, when you were recently at the Games Workshop headquarters, did Games Workshop ask you about your mutual customer base? Would you be interested in sharing information? No. Like there was no specific question towards that. Like obviously we have a mutual customer base because they make the game and we cover the game, so we have a subclass of their customers watching our videos. I would assume that anybody watching Warhammer 40k is typically a Warhammer 40k consumer, meaning they buy stuff. I know that that's not always the case, but it'll usually be the case. 3, are there any plans for future collaborations? Well, not much stuff that I can really talk about. The Games Workshop has definitely opened up a lot, and they've been working much better with the community, as you have seen. That's all I'm really going to say. They're total 180 from what they were years ago, and they're awesome to work with now. So we do have a relationship with them now, and it's great, and we really enjoy that. WB Freak 54, Matt, why doesn't Dave's show end in the vault like you said it would? Also, okay, so I already answered that. Also, with the future 24-hour live stream, will all that be in the vault or only on Twitch? Have a great day. Well, it should all get posted in the vault. It might take a few days to get it all rendered out properly, but the 2 episodes of Wrath and Glory that we'll be doing in there will also go on YouTube. Okay. Let's go back to some more questions from the chat. Zergalurgader, hey Matt, how's your family doing? Well, we were very sick for about a week and a half. Everybody was sick for some reason, but now we're doing great. They're on March break right now. Are any of your kids into 40k or Age of Sigmar, and will we see them on the channel? Well, my oldest is my son, who's 9, so he's just barely getting to the age where he could be into games like this. The 2 of us have started playing BattleTech together. I bought the new BattleTech beginner box and the new BattleTech full box and the whole rulebook as well, because I grew up playing BattleTech, and I've been teaching him BattleTech, and he loves it. So that's what we're getting into right now. But my oldest is 9, so you know, typically people who play Warhammer 40k and Age of Sigmar are, I would say minimum age is 10, 11, maybe even 12, depending on the maturity of the person. Because there's a lot to these games. They're quite complex. I have seen people as young as 8 or 9 playing, but usually it's their parents telling them what to do with everything that they're doing as well. So yeah. Endragon, how to get the giveaways? Just watch the Wednesdays live? Yeah, you have to be on the live stream, but it is 24 hours long. So really, everybody should be able to, you should be able to at one point or another join us, and we are going to be doing giveaways throughout the whole thing. It's not going to be like I can tell you every 30 minutes there's going to be a giveaway, because I know like during our Wrath and Glory, for example, we don't interact with the chat while we're role-playing. So there's like a 2-hour stretch where we're role-playing, then we take a break and interact, we'll do some giveaways, and it'll be a 2-hour stretch, and we'll take a longer break, do some giveaways, and then a 2-hour stretch. Whereas with like the Shrine of Chaos, Dave's going to be doing more of them. So just tune in whenever you can. Have it on whenever you can. But you have to be on, and you have to be able to access the Twitch chat. But you don't have to be a subscriber or a follower, you just have to be there. Skulls at DM, you only posted the Herodins in the Estrias Super Heavy Tank. You mentioned you recorded one with the Taunar. No, I didn't record it. I want to record it with the Taunar, but I never actually did. So that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I haven't recorded that one yet. Andrew Octobeard, have you tried out the new Skaven? They seemed really self-destructive on bat reps I have seen on MiniWarGaming so far. Well, I know so far we've only mainly shown Scryer, and I just played for my first time against them, against somebody who came in, and it was Scryer as well. I know there were some comments saying, hey, play something other than Scryer, but, you know, we got to play with what we got. And the guest that came in, he had Scryer. So, excuse me. And they seemed self-destructive. No, they didn't. They actually had a lot of really cool tricks up their sleeve. They were quite powerful. They're a very good ranged army. So they definitely gave me a lot of trouble. I'm not going to give you, I don't want to give away what happened, but I played against them. They definitely seemed to have some good power behind them. And I could see them being very powerful in the meta. They've done certain ways. Balfour, any chance of a Gloomspite Gitz narrative campaign? Of course, it would have to be called Bad Moon Rising. Maybe eventually. There's Gloomspite Gitz in our in the Yogg-Viren Tor narrative campaign. There ended up being some, but it was not from their point of view. So I don't know if we're going to be doing one from the point of view of the Gitz. Maybe we'll see. BMoz or Matt, is next week's live 24-hour show on Twitch or YouTube? Twitch. I wish we could stream to both, but our Twitch affiliate status prohibits that. Grubnats, in the ranking of countries, is there a placement that surprises you? Nope. It basically, like I said, it goes almost by the population of that country. The US having a large population of English speakers, followed by the UK, followed by Canada, Australia, and then starting to go to the non-English speaking countries like Germany and France. So no, it seems proportionate to the population. Sedge1, will you guys be doing a 10,000 point Apocalypse Battle Report in 2019? We will probably do more than one in 2019. Can't tell you exactly when. Catfish, out of the discontinued Games Workshop armies, which one would you want to see Games Workshop being back in a different reimagining? Well, how many discontinued ones are there? There's like squats. Maybe a Kroot army. What I'd really like to see is something like the Tau army getting expanded, so the Kroot can kind of be their own subclass in there, or the Vespids. Other discontinued armies, like if you're looking at Age of Sigmar, there's a lot of, I wouldn't call them discontinued, but pretty close to the idea of discontinued, where they're not really being supported. So I definitely want Free Peoples to come back out with a whole new reimagining. I've talked about this before. I want them basically to be the Imperial Guard of Age of Sigmar, where they have tanks and they have their different regiments and all that kind of stuff. Like, because we know that we can have tanks, and they just say, well, we got the steam tank, right? And they've already talked about these big fortresses on wheels in the books and stuff, so we know that they exist. So basically, I want Imperial Guard for Age of Sigmar. We've got the Space Marines with the Stormcast Eternal, but we don't really have the basic human faction. Like, we have the Free Peoples, but if we're talking about ones that are actually really supported, I wouldn't count things like Free People and Wanderers and the Corsairs and all that kind of stuff, because they're just, yeah, there's rules for them, but they're not really being updated. Whereas, like, you look at the Moon Clan and Spiderfang, they got wrapped together in a book, and it was made awesome. And so they're being supported again with new models. So I'd say that. Imperial Guard for Age of Sigmar. So call it the Free Guild, for example, or whatever you want to call it. And remember, whenever I clear one of your questions, you're free to ask another question just by using the ask thing. Balfour, with all the preparation for the bunker, getting it, refurbishing, getting ready to move in, anything surprised you, made you laugh, caught you off guard? Oh, there's been a million things that have surprised me. It's been an awesome and frustrating experience for the past couple of years getting ready for this thing. So many things that just have not gone the way we wanted to. At the same time, I'm still very excited for it. It's really shaping up now. They're installing the panels in the actual studios now, and it looks really good. So I'm very excited for it. And yeah, a lot of it's ticked me off too, like building code stuff that doesn't make any sense, or just unexpected expenses or unexpected changes we had to make that maybe didn't make certain areas as nice as we wanted them to. Like the store is not as big as I wanted it to be because we had to put up a wall somewhere for a proper fire escape, and an extra handicap bathroom, which took up a bunch of space, even though I thought that the bathrooms we had were plenty big to be handicap bathrooms. Apparently, they were like 6 inches too small. They need to be like 5 feet. I think they were like 4.5 feet. But regulations are regulations, and so we had to all of a sudden lose a big chunk of what was going to be the store. Lots of little things like that are having very frustrating, incredibly frustrating. But that's just the nature of the beast. Yeah, it's hard unless you're going to spend a ridiculous amount of money and like build a building brand new on a huge lot with an enormous parking space. You're going to run into problems there. Endragon, do you think it's possible to have an entire army of Kroots without having 3 models cloned everywhere? Well, Kroots are pretty basic right now, so no, not really. You just got to buy the same box over and over and over again. Panzer Bunny, keep pushing for that big die on the roof. Make your city council give in. Yeah, something you can see from space, right? That'd be awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go back to grab some Vault member questions. Miso, hey Matt, now that the bunker's almost here, how are you feeling about it? Well, I already answered that question. Nostalgia for the old building? Heck no. Nerves about the new place? Heck yes. Are the business decisions that led to the move still sound? Well, I sure hope so. We think they are, but we'll find out. Ask me again in a year. Great new interview series with Dungeon Dudes. On that discussion, what books have you read recently that are influencing you? And have you ever read any of the famous Appendix N books? I haven't. Namely, The Dying Earth, Bath and the Grey Mouser, Conan, and Elric. And what do you think of them? I haven't read those. I actually haven't done a lot of reading recently. I've been too busy, too lazy. I'm not quite sure. I haven't read anything for the past few months. I need to get back into reading. So I unfortunately don't have a good answer to that question. On D&D, what is the future of streaming for MiniWarGaming, do you think? Will you do a Kickstarter? Will there be some live streams of games in a new building by club members? It's all up in the air right now. The live streaming has been difficult. We don't have the resources to do it as much as I want to. And the little amount that we're doing it is costing us way more than any money we're making from it. Like a lot more. Like if I'm giving you honest numbers here, we have about a sixth, 1 out of 6 of the number of subscribers on Twitch that we need in order for it to cover its own cost. The time it takes to be, and that doesn't even include opportunity costs. Like we could be making other stuff that we know will make us more money. And so it's really a passion project, because the numbers right now are not pointing towards us continuing to do it. But I'm just determined to find a way to make it work. And so how are we going to do that? Well, I've got a few ideas. Like doing an Indiegogo campaign is one, or having like special 24-hour live streams where we try to raise enough money to do the next campaign, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's hard because we don't have enough resources to do as much live streaming as we want, which can work against us trying to do any live streaming. But I don't know the answer. It's a new market, so we've got to keep trying and pushing at it, but we've got to also be responsible fiscally to make sure that it doesn't drain other more important parts of the business at the same time. So I want it to work. We just got to see how we're going to make it work. Finally, have you ever thought of really trying to do an epic-style Lord of the Ring-like RPG campaign? You seem like your detective procedurals. You seem to like your detective procedurals more. I'm not sure what that last sentence means. Epic-style Lord of the Rings-like RPG campaign. Do you mean like having a super long one, like what Critical Role does, where they go 100 and something episodes in one campaign? Or they take 50 episodes to find out what their main story is? No, this is not a criticism to them. I'm just saying, are you talking like that, where it's just like this super, super long? The problem with that is we have to know right now that we'd want to still be doing it. And so I like doing these bite-sized campaigns. That way we can keep testing the waters with them and see where they go. And we could always do the next season, which can just continue the last one. So we'll see. So I don't know what the future for that is. Mayor666, hello Matt. I'm a Vault member for about a year, I think. Awesome. And I asked myself, what is better for you from a business perspective? If I watch your free videos on YouTube or on your website? I want to help you guys out as good as I can. I don't think it makes a difference. I don't know if ads play differently on our website or on YouTube. So I don't have any stats to tell me the answer to that question. So I don't know the answer. But thank you just for even asking that question. That's pretty awesome that you're even wondering how you can contribute even that small amount too. Greetings from Austria and keep up the good work. King Ninja, hey Matt, would you consider going public and being a company that the community could invest in and buy stocks in? Why or why not? We're not really a public company material. Our company's not that big. If we could go public, the only reason to go public is because you need funding to do something big. Like you look at a company like Games Workshop, which I think is the only one that's gone public. They need funding to open up a huge factory and do all that they're doing. And we don't really need that for a company of our size. If we were big enough and we did need that, would I want to go public? That would be my last resort. I like keeping control. So I like more private investing or just, ourselves. But I don't think that'll ever come up. I don't think we'll ever be big enough to consider going public. Okay, one more question from Vault members here. Zergalurgaderg, who's also here live. Good morning, Terra. All right, I'll read it. We've got a great show for you folks today, coming to you live from beautiful Welland, Ontario, Canada, Terra Solar System, Sector Solar, Segment in Solar. We are joined by the brains behind MiniWarGaming. Matthew dances like no one is watching, even though we are all watching Glanfield. This episode of Good Morning Terra is brought to you by our good friends at Forgefather Hot Sauce. When you're out there on the front lines defending humanity against the horrors of the galaxy, the last thing you want to worry about is bland corpse starch. So throw a little Forgefather Hot Sauce on it and bring the purifying flames of the Emperor to that darkest of places, your digestive tract. Forgefather Hot Sauce. It burns, so you don't have to. All right, that's awesome. Thank you. So Matthew, now that you are on the cusp of moving into your newly heavily armed and armored bunker, what is the one thing that you are most looking forward to once you get there? What is the one thing you're dreading? I'd say the thing I'm looking forward to the most is running events, having all these people coming in and just having an event area just happening as a place to be. What's the one thing I'm dreading? Moving. I am dreading moving. I am going to be sick those 2 weeks. That's going to suck. Now on to a hypothetical. If another one of the Primarchs showed up in the near future, like the Lion or Lehman Russ or Vulcan, do you think they would simply fall in line with what the Imperium is? Or do you think it may cause another schism? Schism. Depends on the Primarch, I guess. I think Vulcan would fall in line. Lehman Russ, probably. You know what? Yeah, I think most of them would. Yeah. Of course, writers can do whatever writers want to do, and they can make them not. But I can't think of a good reason why they wouldn't. Lastly, and on a lighter note, you get transported to any place you'd like, and you sit down with an amazing meal in front of you. Where would you be, and what would you be eating? I'd be in Tahiti, eating poisson cru, which is just raw fish. It's just a French way of saying raw fish. It's not the same as sashimi. They have their own style where they put lemon on it, coconut milk, mix it in with a bunch of vegetables. Made either with tuna or swordfish. It is delicious, and I want it. I've made it a few times since I came home from Tahiti a long time ago. 15 years ago, 16 years ago, 17 years ago, whatever it was. It's just not the same. The fish here is not as fresh. We're pretty far from any ocean. So fish have to travel to get here. They're not like literally being cut up in front of me while the fisherman is waist deep in the ocean water. True story. So it's just not the same. The coconut milk, of course, you have to get from a can. Just not the same. So, the freshness of the food is not as good here, but that's where I would be. I'd probably have some lemon chicken with it too. This isn't the crap lemon chicken you get at your Chinese buffet. This is homemade lemon chicken. It is delicious. Thank you so much for your time today, Matthew. That's all we have for today, folks. This has been Good Morning Terra. We now take you back with Cullen, who has a report on whether or not Space Marines can cry. Cullen? Cullen's not here today. It's actually Rob manning the station because Cullen is sick. That's why you haven't heard his beautiful voice throughout this whole thing. Oh, Zergalurgaderg is the next one in the chat for question 2. If you could have a 40k vehicle in real life, not worrying about fuel or maintenance, what would you take? Probably an Eldar jet bike. Because, if I'm going to have a 40k vehicle, why would I take one that looks like one from the current era, like a Space Marine bike, or a box of a rhino, or a bigger box of a land raider, which I think they look cool on the table, but I wouldn't want to own one of those. I think, yeah, an Eldar jet bike. Yeah, Eldar jet bike. That's what do you think of the new Chaos models? And I don't know if I said your username right. And how is Dave taking it? Is he still human or on his way to Demonkin? Oh, he's been on his way to Demonkin for a long time. The new Chaos models look great. I look forward to seeing all the stuff that comes out with them and the battle reports that we make from them too. I don't have much more to say than that. They just look really cool. Dragon, do you think that putting Hormagaunts heads on No Fear's Intercessor to recycle them in a Tyranid army is horror? Because I did it. Maybe there's more that you said there because it got cut off. Yeah, I don't see where it is. Sorry. Oh, because I did it. That's actually where it is. You put ... on the end, and that's what the Nightbot does when it gets cut off. Hormagaunt heads on No Fear's Intercessors. To recycle them in a Tyranid army? I'm not sure what you're trying to accomplish. No Fear's Intercessor with Hormagaunt heads. Yeah, I'm not seeing the point of that, Dragon. It would be a cool conversion, but I just don't see what the point is. Balfour, have you scheduled any tournaments or big events for the bunker past the grand opening? Will you have a calendar or such on your website to blah, blah, blah? I'm guessing to tell us what they are. We have not yet. We have lots of plans. We will definitely have it published, all the events coming up for the next 6 to 12 months, when we actually know what they are, because we want you to be able to plan your trips, right? So we'll probably start doing them as early as July, but honestly, there's not going to be as much lead time for people to prepare to come to them, just because we don't know exactly when we're going to be ready yet, so we have to make sure we do it all right. We don't want people buying plane tickets and booking stuff to get here, and it turns out we're not ready for it. Lavarius, when the bunker opens, will you guys consider doing live games, maybe in the tournament hall? You mean like live streaming games on tournament hall? I don't know. It's not something that we've really thought of yet. Excuse me. But maybe. Andrew Octobeard, I really enjoyed the Skaven Bat Reps is what I meant. Any chance on the Skaven Ascension to Power, Age of Sigmar narrative? There's always a chance. No current plans, though. Dr. Vulcan, Doctor of Mathematics. Have you considered making flyers that people can hang in their friendly local gaming store to advertise your Twitch shows? No, not really. I remember you. I think you asked that question before, and I didn't get a chance to answer it. I don't think that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if that would be. I'm not saying it wouldn't get anybody to our shows, but I don't know. I guess you'd have to have the shop owners of permission to do it, and then would they want some sort of compensation? It just kind of gets a little more complicated there. So we haven't really considered that. The thought's been seeded, though, so who knows what will come from that. Joe8170, hey Matt, no idea for a campaign. I would love... Oh, hey Matt, one idea for a campaign. I would love if you had an attacker and a defender and about 10,000 points and have multiple battles you can... Hold on. You can field whatever you want from their armies, but when a model is dead, it cannot be reused. Would you ever be interested in this? Feel free to pick holes in it. No. The reason for it is because it wouldn't work. It would get one-sided really quick. It's an interesting concept. We've had this suggestion many times over the years, but in my experience, looking at how the games work, it's hard to have lopsided campaigns. We tried it with the Firestorm campaign, but it quickly got out of hand. You just need... having advantages and disadvantages in games is one thing, but having vast difference in points is another. So I'd say not super interested in that. Miso, why hasn't MiniWarGaming given Rob $5 million to make a feature film yet? That would be awesome. Why have we not given Rob the $5 million to make a feature film yet? Good question there. Probably has something to do with the fact that Rob's never asked for $5 million. Or maybe because we don't have $5 million. Or maybe because if I did have $5 million, I wouldn't give it to Rob anyways. I like Rob, but not $5 million like. Good question. All right, so the queue has been cleared. Are we actually? If you have any more questions, you go ahead and post them. If you don't, that's fine. We can end early. It's 2:40 right now. We've been going for 40 minutes. It is a very quiet day today. I've noticed that. We have a lot less viewers on today than usual. When are we going to see some new Blood Bowl action? Eventually. It'll be one of the things we do in the new bunker, right? Was your question answered, Lavarius? Yes, it was. I don't remember what your question was, though, but I did answer it. Weird. It just pinged you a minute ago that we went live, Dr. Vulcan says? Interesting. Because we've been live since 5 to 2, our time. Vito review. He's been in play for a couple of weeks. How do you feel he's doing? I think he's doing great. Not much more to say than that. He needs more time than that to really make a full assessment. And I don't think I'd share that assessment publicly. But how do you think he's been doing? There's a loaded question. Miso says, I didn't get a ping this time either. Did you go live, then turn it off, then go live again, Rob? You just went live once, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we've been live for 51 minutes.
Huh. Who else watching did not get notification? You just happened to be on Twitch or know to come on. Grubnats, when are employee performance reviews going to be streamed? Never. Dr. Vulcan says, I think Vito's been doing well. He's added some new, very watchable personality, if that makes any sense. It does. Catfish, how do you deal with difficult guests? I'm not saying to name names, but just curious. Well, we definitely have difficult guests. It's not very common. Most people who come here are great, because, you know, people usually don't travel a long distance to be difficult. You just have to kind of, just how do you deal with difficult opponents? It's the same way. You have to be kind, because they've come a long way. They're volunteering their time here. In our case, we have to always be kind. And if it depends what you mean by difficult. If you mean that like they're arguing the rules, that rarely happens. And you just if you in the end, I've had it once or twice tell somebody, well, that's just the way we do it here, and they have to accept that. Other than that, it's not really much difficulty that we have to deal with. If they're talking too much, we just have to control that as much as we can as we're doing everything. If they're talking too little, we have to talk more to fill in the space. If they bring cheese lists, well, then the battle report service is going to show a cheese list. If they bring easy lists, then we try to make our list easier so that the game is fun. Dr. Vulcan, thank you for giving a tier 1 sub to Miso. 67 gift subs so far in this channel. Thank you so much. You're awesome. Hey, Ego Queen Alexis, I'm a difficult opponent. Oh, we know. We know. It's because you play Sisters of Battle. We all know they're difficult. Somebody sticks to an old defunct army like that, you know they're going to be difficult. Right? Zergalurgadirg, how is it working with Miles Drake on the narrative campaigns? Does it make it easier to build the rules for the campaigns? Miles is awesome. He makes the job 100,000 times easier. He's a great writer. He comes up with good rules too, and makes our lives way easier. So he's awesome. Very, very awesome. Dr. Vulcan just gifted another sub to Joe8170, 68 in total. Awesome. Hold on. And then just did a random one. It's 69 in total. Awesome. Joe8170, as I didn't start playing 40k until I was 26 out of fear of being bullied when I was a teen. I was wondering what you think is the biggest threat, and then that gets cut off, so I'll have to go look for it, to the hobby. Bullying is probably not it. I don't think there is a big threat. This hobby will always remain small. Now, small is a relative term, obviously. As the population of the world gets bigger, so will this hobby. But it'll always remain small. There's a simple reason for that. Actually, there's a couple simple reasons. One, it costs a lot of money. That's not enough to make it small, though. The real reason is that it takes a lot of time. It invests a lot of time in learning rules and in painting miniatures. Also, it's not an easy game to just throw down. You can't just pull out a board game like a board game where you pull it out, throw it on your table, and away you go. You've got to set up terrain. You've got to have an opponent come over. You're going to play for a few hours or something like that. So it's something that you really have to invest yourself a lot more into. Video games, you sit down and play. Board games, easy too. Role-playing games, your DM is the only one that really has to be super committed. The rest of the players can kind of just show up. I'm not saying the players aren't committed. I'm just saying they don't have to be as committed. And so It's just one person that really has to be a master of the rules and do all the prep work. But wargaming, it's a huge investment for everybody involved in it. So that's not a threat. It's just what it is. So it'll always keep the community. No matter how you could have celebrities playing it, that'll grow the market, but it always can be limited by those things. No matter how much people want to play it, there's lots of people out there who would love to get into miniature wargaming, but don't, just because they don't have that time or money or both. Okay. Balthazar, when is the next Watchers in Death campaign? Well, the next Age of Sigmar campaign that we're going to start working on next week is the next Watchers in Death campaign. It's not just going to be Watchers in Death, but it's going to continue the Watchers in Death story and have Watchers in Death in it. So you can look forward to that soon. Andrew Octobeard, any battle report secret you can share with us? You mean like secrets of making a battle report? Can you be more specific with that question? I'll clear it so you can ask again. Telvin, has Vito brought coffee and donuts yet as a new guy? No, he hasn't. If not, he's failed his first performance review from the viewers. Well, I don't drink coffee, but donuts would be appreciated. Yeah, why hasn't he? He hasn't yet, has he, Rob?
No, not yet.
Vito. All right, yeah. Miso. Okay, so no $5 million for Rob, but you could make some short films for film festivals. Might help creativity. Maybe make it a pitch to Netflix. Yeah, that's Dave's domain, and even he doesn't want to do that right now. It was a lot of work making the Ranger stuff that he's been doing. A lot of work. And so I don't see that as a major future of MiniWarGaming. Zerglergerderg, what are the armies you least like playing against in both 40k and Age of Sigmar? Age of Sigmar is easy. It's death. Not all death. Blobs of skeletons and zombies backed up by graveyards and necromancers and all that kind of crap. It's just like, yeah. 40k, I don't think there is one in 40k that I'm like, oh, I don't want to play against that one. Yeah, honestly, I haven't recently had any bad experiences with an army in particular in 40k. Age of Sigmar, a lot of the Legions of Nagash ones are, I don't know if I would call them broken. Maybe they're broken, but they're just annoying to play with. Dr. Vulcan, thanks for the other gifted tier 1 sub. That's 70 in total. Whew, that's pretty awesome. Dr. Vulcan actually has a question. From a company manager perspective, what issues come up from running 24-hour live streams with work impacts? Your question got cut off. Do you find it impacts work for several days? Well, so far we've only done it with one employee doing it for 24 hours, so this is our first time. We're doing it in shifts though, so I don't think it'll have nearly as big an impact. So like Dave takes 5 hours, then we're going to be doing role playing, and then Luke is the one that's kind of the craziest. He's doing like a 24-hour shift, but then he's taking the next 2 days off, and he'll have a nice long weekend, so he'll be fine by Monday. So I don't think there will be hardly any impacts really. Like the next day, obviously the 2 days that you're running it, you get less done in other areas, but other than that, I don't think it'll be that bad. Panzer Bunny, what is your stance on the reality of very affordable 3D printers in the hobby? Do you feel the game companies are capable of adapting, or will they simply ignore it? I think 3D printers are definitely affecting the hobby, but they're a long ways away from replacing. Think about 3D printers, and now think about Games Workshop models, for example. They are a long ways away from threatening Games Workshop. Right now, they're mainly used to print simpler models and terrain, because terrain is simpler when it comes to a model. Even though it's bigger, it's still a simpler kind of thing. That it's, yeah, you can, like Steve just bought a 3D printer that can actually do models, and so we use Hero Forge, and we design a model, we spend $10 to get the 3D file, which is really cool, and then he can print it. And yet he's still limited to just printing. It's time. 3D printers take a lot of time to print. So the technology is still a ways off. And the thing is, there's a reason why plastic is the most popular way of making miniatures. It's because it's cheap, but it's not cheap to invest in. Like, you need a factory, you need huge machines, you need lots of money and investments in the molds. But once that's all done, they can just churn out miniatures at pennies a piece. And it's not just pennies a piece, it's also how fast they can turn it out. Like, think about the demand for miniatures. I just don't see 3D printers taking over that anytime soon. I do think eventually 3D printers will come down in cost and increase in quality, because they've already come down in cost. Pretty much anybody could afford a 3D printer, but the question is, can they afford one that's decent to what they want, and can they figure out how to use it? Because having tried to use one, it is a pain in the butt. It is frustrating. It is annoying. It is not intuitive, and you've got to learn how to use these different kinds of software too. So I think we're another 5 to 10 years away from having cheap, high-quality 3D printers that are super easy and user-friendly. I think we're far away from that still. But even once that does happen, unless they print ridiculously fast, you're still going to need the bigger companies. Like, think about regular printers, all right? There are still tons of big companies who are printing companies. Like, we have Staples, for example, here, and many others. I still send them documents to be printed. Yeah, I could print that document on my printer right there, but it's going to take longer. It's not going to be the same quality, and this is with printers being out forever now. So it's kind of like cameras. No matter how good camera phones get, this camera will never be good as a larger camera. It's just physics that there is a larger sensor in that camera. Now, this might be better than an older, larger camera, but this phone made at the same time as a larger SLR or whatever, this will never be as good as that camera. It just can't. It's smaller. So a 3D printer in your house can never be as good as what a factory could produce at the volume it produces. You might be able to produce miniatures that look just as good, but you're going to be then restricted by how long it takes to print them. That still changes the market fundamentally, but I still think it's away from it having a serious shift, besides allowing all these companies to create better miniatures for their own games, which they then subsequently take and make molds for and cast in something else like resin or in plastic injection molding. That's my stance on it. But then again, I'm not deep into the manufacturing side of this, so there might be other things that I'm not considering. Balfour, after you move into the bunker, do you expect to keep admin and gaming time similar to what they are now, or do you think they will change? And your comment got cut off too. More admin and less gaming, or vice versa? You mean for myself? Well, I think there'll be more administration to do, but that's not going to be me doing that necessarily. At first, maybe. Josh is going to be the main one running the bunker, so you'll see him less in videos once you really get going in that. But that was always the intent. Miso, on another topic, what cartoons do your kids like? Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol will be there on the double whenever you're in trouble. Around Adventure Bay, Ryder and his team of pups will come and save the day. Marshall, Chase, Guy. I can't remember them all. I can tell you all their names, but I don't remember what the song order is. On the way, Paw Patrol. Yeah, Paw Patrol's a big one. Cartoons, like regular ones they watch. That's actually the big one, to be honest. If you do watch other ones, off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember. I can just pull up Netflix and see what's in their history. I've got it over here on my iPad. That's the big one. Paw Patrol. Like, there's been a lot of different ones that we've watched, but I'd say Paw Patrol's a big one. Do you try to get them to like the D&D like cartoons of Adventure Time, Gravity Falls? No, I haven't really tried to do that yet. Just to have, if it's TV time, just choose something they want, so they'll leave you alone. Right, parent over there? That's what you do, right?
Yep.
Make sure they leave you alone.
Well, I kind of watch them all the time. I like them.
Oh, you like watching them too?
Yes, I do.
Lavarius, not sure if anyone asked you this yet, but is Dave excited for the new Khorne Demons and Age of Sigmar? Will he be playing that army? Yeah, he's very excited, and yes, he will. I can guarantee that. Balthazar, ever consider collaborations with Tabletop Minions? With Adam? Sure. But like what? What collaborations are you talking about? We're inviting a bunch of YouTubers down for the Bunker Grand Opening. I think I'm pretty sure he's on the list. I'm not sure if he's able to come or not. Dave's taking care of that. I was thinking about how is Miles Drake's doing with the narrative campaign so far. I've actually already answered that. I'm sure it's hard to please the critics, but anything else is fine. Maybe how long does it take to make a 1 hour, 20-minute episode to make something like that? I don't know exactly how long it takes him. He does, actually, he bills us for it, obviously. Off the top of my head, I don't know, though. He's doing great, though. I already said this. He's doing great. He saves us a ton of time, so he's worth every penny. And he does a great job. He's good at writing. He's good at the rules for writing. So we're very happy with him. So I'm glad that we're doing this with him. Zergalurgadur, to narrow it down, is there any unit in 40k that you hate to see on the table? Also, is there anything you bring that people hate to play against? Well, like the typical, like the Gilliman / like anything where you just hunker down and you make a bubble that's like super powered. Even if you don't win the game because you're hunkered down and not grabbing objectives, it's still annoying to play against. Anything that's really hard to just remove from the table, it can be annoying. But no, not really much. Anything that I bring that people hate to play against? I don't get complaints. I always bring different things. I know Gene Stealers are scary, but I don't think people hate to play against anything I bring. I'm not quite sure. Okay, Broham. Hey, Matt, just wonder how close are you guys to Twitch partnership? Good question. We've tried a couple times. They've said, not yet. We have all the numbers that they asked for. I guess they just want to see us do it for a few more months. I'm not sure exactly what their guidelines are. I've read them all, and we passed everything that they say. How many people need to be watching, how often we stream, all that stuff. We're doing it. So maybe eventually. No big deal, though. All right. Sorry for this cough. Okay, where's your question? Because it got coughed out. All right, we got Kumpel Blaze 86. Hi, Matt. I'm excited for the new bunker. Wish you all the best for the future. Thank you. And out of my question. What's after the bunker? Do you even plan further to the future? No, not really. The bunker is actually a pretty big deal, and that'll occupy us for the next while. MiniWarGaming World, the amazing adventure park. No, the bunker's pretty big for us. I know it's not an enormous place, but it's going to take a lot of our attention, our time, our money. And so it's that's going to be what we're focused on for the next while. So we don't have like a Bunker 2.0 plan already in place. One day, maybe. Balthazar, any plans to have Games Workshop employees on the show? Invite Duncan. Yeah, for sure. Once we have the new place open and we're settled in really well, we'll invite them in, see if they want to come down. We'll put them in our rooms and film a bunch of stuff with them. It could be fun, if they are interested. Balfour, do you have plans to hire other narrative writers, or does Miles fulfill all current requirements? He definitely fulfills all current requirements. But if we ever did expand beyond his capacity to keep up, we would definitely look to hire more, because it's just such a good investment. Zergalurgadur came out. Are you excited for the next Chug-a-Mug? No, not at all. I hate them, and they're awesome, but I hate them. Okay, we're pretty much out of time. I'll wait to see if one more question pops up here. And if it does, I'll answer it. Otherwise, we'll close off. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dr. Vulcan's question is, have a great day, everyone. I'm looking at the actual chat now, so you don't have to put ask. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and asking all your questions. It's been a fun chat. Stay tuned next week. Oh, I said next week is Josh's Sit and Talk. I don't think we're going to be doing that next week, because we're going to be doing the 24-hour stream, but we'll see. We'll let you know. Either way, put questions on this Sit and Talk for Josh, because whether he does it next week or the week after, he'll be the next one. Should be. So remember, next week is a live stream, Wednesday, March 20th, from 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time to the following 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You can go to miniwargaming.com/lifetime for all the details of the lifetime membership sale and a countdown timer to it as well. It's pretty fancy. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy wargaming.